Khan once lived to tell the story of the rain, sweat, glory of Mike, checks, and men who fight the destination we were destined to end. Left the writing on the wall in the halls of the Nippon Khan. Others transformed, majority Decepticons. But my conception of the...
All right, we're here on video.
Oh, snap.
We're always on video, but we never, I guess this is just, we're real people. We're not AI robots just talking about Seattle sports.
So true.
This was my last episode as a, how old am I right now? This is bad. My last episode
that's
as
Kevin, by the way.
a 33-year-old.
Oh,
Because tomorrow I turn 34, right?
Don't they?
1992 to 2025.
Dude.
No, I'm 32. I'm turning 33.
Wow. What a start.
I don't know how old I am.
Well, that's Kevin who doesn't know how old he is. I'm
Yeah.
Brian. And this
Oh,
is the
yeah.
Wait for It Seattle podcast.
It is the Wait for It Seattle podcast. You're wearing a pretty cool jersey. I've never seen that before.
We talked about last time jerseys and whether men should rock it. I don't know that I'm terribly rocking it well, but it's a Sue Bird Rebel jersey alternate. At some point, it's going to be very rare, right? Because not that many people will have it.
I love the, I got a text message that said, I'm Team Elsner on the uniform rankings. So people are loving how you ranked the uniforms. Also, I had plenty of comments on our presidential discussion and who their favorite presidents were. So, you know, we're opening up good, healthy, civil discourse.
That's right. That's right. And maybe now we'll have people check us out on YouTube. That's where we're going to try. So we'll see. We'll see. We're expanding. We're like the United States of America when they take over Canada, Kev.
Yeah.
Speaking of civil discourse.
Speaking of taking over Canada, we totally lost that nations
hockey
matchup. Yeah, I was invested.
It was still pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the U.S. lost, and then the tweet from Prime Minister Trudeau was awesome.
Yes.
It was basically, I don't even remember the exact word. Well, I sent it to you. I want to quote it exactly. Let me look it up. I sent it to you. It was great. It was basically like, here we go. It's coming. Oh boy, my timing is terrible on this. You can't take our country to what I referenced earlier, and you can't take our game.
There you go.
Ooh, okay, Canada, coming out strong, just like the Wait for It Seattle podcast.
By the way, how many Canadian teams are there in the National Hockey League?
I believe 6.
And this is the dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyways because I'm going to admit that I don't know if it's dumb or not. But like, is the NHL considered the premier hockey league in the world?
Yes.
Or are there? Okay, so it's not like the MLS.
No. So the 4 nations that they just had was all the NHL players going and playing for their countries.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there are other hockey leagues. In the you know, we've talked about this a little bit, but rookies and sort of minor league hockey players, they don't really call it that, who play in other leagues are getting ready to go to the NHL. It is the Premier League. Yes.
Got it. Well, I just educated myself and you educated me and other people that didn't know that.
I've been educating you for years, Kevin. So here we go. All right. We are just going to do some headlines to start, and then we're going to do a fun draft. And then we'll finish with a fun top 5. And I have a wrinkle for Kevin he doesn't even know about. So it's great.
Oh, gosh.
He loves his surprises. All right. Let's start with the first headline. We got to talk about it, Kev, because last week we talked about the University of Washington women's basketball team, and we went through the fact that they had 4 games remaining against winnable games, good opponents on the bubble, one of the last 4 in, and you said, I'm excited now. I'm invested. And since then, Kev, guess what? They went out and they beat Rutgers at home. Rutgers is bad. Something the men could not do. We'll talk about that later. And then they went on the road against Nebraska, a team higher in the standings, and I think with a higher net ranking than them.
On the road.
On the road, and the Huskies won by 21 points.
Yeah.
That's a big win.
Can we talk about El Ladine? Yeah. Our podcast guest dropping 20
Yeah, I'll say
28
this.
points.
One, my best friend from childhood, I had dinner with him last night, found out he wasn't listening to the podcast regularly, texted me this evening, said, I'm listening to the podcast. So I think he's listening to last week. Maybe he'll listen to this one as well. And he said, you need to have guests. And I said, oh, my friend, we've had guests. We've had famous athletes. El Ladine, one of our guests, famous athlete. She's tremendous.
Two 28-point efforts in both of those games. 10 for 18 from three.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to win games, have El Ladine score over 25 points.
El Ladine's balling.
And she's on an upward trajectory.
And Delia Daniels is right there with her.
Yeah.
I mean, 21 and 10 in the last game. They've been better since Chloe Briggs entered the starting lineup, and they've kind of gone 4 guards, which will be interesting to see what happens. They face Minnesota this week, and Minnesota is good. Well, I don't know if Minnesota's good, Kev. I was looking it up. So they have like 20 wins already. They played no one in non-conference.
Mm-hmm.
But in Big Ten play, they've been playing good teams really tough or getting a couple upsets. But then they play like Rutgers and they only win by 8. And they play Purdue and they only win by like 9. So I don't know what to think of Minnesota.
Well, I have changed my mind ever since the 2023 Huskies football team about how to measure margin of victory and like whether like what's the value of a win? Like a win is a win, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like how important are style points basically? And if a team is, and this is kind of going off of your point because I understand you just referenced that they had some weird losses, but I do think that I'm more on the side of a win is a win. Whether you win by 8 or by 2, whoever you're playing, if you pull it out, you pull it out, and that's what matters.
Sure, I get that. Yeah. Well, here's what's interesting.
They're good. They have 20 wins.
They do. They're 32nd in net ranking. The Huskies are now up to 44, which is fantastic for them. The quad 1 wins, right, which is what the committee cares about. The Huskies are actually 2-8 in quad 1. Here's what's interesting. Minnesota's 0-5. So Huskies are 0-3 in quad 2. Minnesota's 2-3. So they're probably equal, right? That's why this is a big game. If the Huskies beat Minnesota, we talked about this last week, and can somehow pull off against Oregon at home, and they're 9-9. I don't know if it matters what happens in the Big Ten tournament. I don't want to say that because if they get they lose a first rounder or something. But
so before the Nebraska win, which was probably the better win, the better win, right? Higher ranked on the road, etc.
Yep.
They were last 4 in bracketology, so they haven't. ESPN hasn't updated since the 21st.
Yeah, I think they. Oh, interesting. They must do it on Fridays then.
Yeah. So I guess.
So the Minnesota game will happen after that. So that'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're in right now.
Right.
And I think if they're on the bubble, I think all they need to do is win one game in the Big Ten tournament. I think that's good enough.
Yeah. Let's hope. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it'd be certainly cool, right, to watch them on the Friday of tournament because the women, I think they always start on Friday. It'd be fun. But they also might be last 4 in, so they might be in that early round, the first 4 for the women. So we could get an extra game. But yeah, I hope they get in for their recruiting, for the building momentum.
With that class coming in.
It's the next step for them. It could probably help in the transfer portal because they'll need a big in the transfer portal for sure. So that's exciting. So that's headline number 1. Headline number 2, probably not worthy of a headline. Oh no, that's later. Sorry. This one is worthy of a headline. Sounders, they kicked off their season. They had 2 matches last week.
Was that a pun intended?
No,
it wasn't. But
I'm
it was
that.
Great. You're a good headline writer.
Yeah, well, we know I am. They played Antigua in Guatemala. Do I have that right? I can't remember which country they played in, but they won 3-1. I heard from friends they weren't particularly great in the game. The other team is bad. But then they came home and they played Charlotte for the MLS opener. and they sadly blew the game. They had a 2-1 lead, and they had an own goal on just what sounded like a terrible defensive mistake in like the 93rd minute.
So they drew.
They drew, which
And
is
this is the one Jordan Morris scored both goals in.
Jordan Morris scored both goals. Yeah.
Okay.
They are playing a lot of matches early in the season, and it's interesting to see how they negotiate this, how Schmetzer plays people. They have some decent depth, but I don't know. Yeah, so they play Antigua again Wednesday, and that's the CONCACAF Champions Cup, home and away. And I think they'll do fine. They have a 3-1 lead. It's aggregate, and they should be ready to move on from there. And then they on the weekend they play Real Salt Lake in MLS.
Yeah.
So they have a lot. And then, as the league goes on, they're also in the Leagues Cup, and they're just in like all this, and they're in the Club World Cup. They're in all these competitions this year. So we'll get a lot of Sounders action. Did you catch any minutes of either game, Kev?
I saw the highlights of the Jordan Morris goals.
Let's go.
Yeah. Also, I was reading about this First Match on Us program.
Tell me what it was. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. The Sounders, in conjunction with after fan surveys and doing some research, they came up with this program where they're giving out free tickets to people that have never been to games in Seattle. And you basically just register, and they have a set game.
How do they prove that?
I don't know. I was thinking of...
Is it an honor system?
I was thinking of doing some investigative reporting and trying to enter my name and see what happens. But my suspicion is they have a database of everyone that's ever bought tickets. You'd obviously be on there because you had season tickets.
I was a season ticket holder for 10 years. Yeah, they're going to flag that one.
And people that buy single tickets, single game tickets, your name goes somewhere. And there's a chance they have this big database. So anyways... regardless of how they figure out great, there's more people in the stands anyways, right? And the other thing is too, it's not just a free ticket. They have gifts for these people that come. They have an experience where they'll explain things and kind of have fan ambassadors. I thought it was really cool.
It is really cool.
And it doesn't feel forced. And the press release was talking about how this is a good lead up into the World Cup that's coming and all the other international things. And so it's trying to build that momentum. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think that people that are looking for something to do this summer and this spring that haven't been to a Sounders game, go for free. And it's not just your ticket. You can bring 2 friends along. I guess they're just giving away Sounders tickets.
It's a really smart promotion. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I am curious how they'll do it, but you're to your point, who cares? They'll figure it out. It's not our job. It's really cool that they decided to do this. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm trying to see, it looks like if the Sounders can pull off Wednesday in this CONCACAF Champions Cup, they'll go to the round of 16. They already will know their opponent. I'm just double checking. It'll be Cruz Azul from Mexico, who won their 2 over a Haitian team 7-0 in aggregate.
I just love how you have no idea what these international teams are in competitions like this. They're from another league. It's just funny to me.
There are some, for people who really like soccer, obviously, right? They know it, but there are some teams they played a couple teams the last couple of years in some of these competitions where the reputation is pretty strong. And so we went to one last year where the team was just really, really good. And in the Club World Cup, when they host PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, that's not French. they're I just read a preview of that, and they're the Sounders are not getting out of their group. They're playing a ridiculous group. But it's really cool home games. To your point about a summer of soccer, maybe go find one of these games. Now, to get a ticket to that game, it's $300.
Yeah, that's not going to be on First Match on Us.
Yeah, no, and that's not going to be a match that I go to either. But it's really cool that they're doing that. So, lots of Sounder soccer coming up. I'll be honest, I wasn't able to because of schedule watch any of them so far. So I'm curious to watch them and see if they look like a better attacking team, because last year they were Boring on offense. All right. Third headline. Speaking of boring,
That was the transition. I had it in my head too.
sorry, I stole
Uh,
it from you. Your Seattle Kraken. Okay, I want to just
um,
talk briefly. I mean, I
yeah.
think I know your answer.
Did you watch the game? No. That's.
Well, I knew that one.
Did you watch the match?
Uh, they got to sell at the trade deadline. It's next Friday.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's yeah, the 7th is the next Friday. Right? They got to I mean, they say Brandon Tanev and Yanni Gord, who actually is currently injured, so I don't know his market value, are the ones like ESPN and Fox Sports and CBS say are on the trade block because they're free agents after the year. I think they got to trade some other veterans. Like they got to rebuild this thing.
So you think tear down? So Eberle's 34.
Yeah. Everly
Um,
just came back. I mean, he's awesome. He's the captain. Maybe they
yeah.
won't because
Yeah.
they first named a captain for the first time in their history, and it was Everly.
Yeah.
But I mean, they released Grubauer. Like they seem to be bored slash frustrated. Bored's probably the wrong word. Frustrated
Yeah.
with what they have. They have a semi good young core. It seems like Shane Wright. I saw since he got scratched in November is like top 15 in the NHL in points per game, like above Sidney Crosby. People will
Yeah.
know that name. Like he's playing awesome. Capo Caco, my favorite name, came over from the Rangers. Matty Beniers is fine. They got some young guys, but they're just not, they kind of have this mix of old guys, young guys, but not making the playoffs 3 out of your first 4 years. Pretty disappointing. And we've talked about this before. The ticket stuff's gonna matter soon. Like
Yeah.
there are lots of people selling tickets, and there are lots of people who would be done if they didn't sign a 7-year contract when they started with the Kraken.
Yeah.
Uh,
So besides those guys that signed the contracts over, who are those two dudes? Can you remind
Chandler
me?
Stevenson and Brandon Montour, like they'll be
Okay.
here. Yeah.
So they'll be here, and then probably Shane Wright's untouchable.
I mean, I wouldn't say he's untouchable, but probably, yeah. I mean,
Probably. But
he's
everyone
cost
else.
controlled, right?
Yeah.
Like that thing. I mean, Oliver Bjorkstrand should be on the block. I probably wouldn't put like Vince Dunn defender, but certainly Tanev. Any of Eberly, any of those veteran guys, like if they're in the 30s, late 20s, Burakovsky, who no one's gonna want because he doesn't score enough, but these are all vets. Yeah, they got to all
What do
be on
you
the.
sell them for? Draft picks? Younger dudes?
Well,
Prospects? How
I
does
think
that work?
that Rangers trade is a good example, right? So they traded Will Borgen, who's a defender who's been good with New York, but he was out of the rotation in Seattle, and they got Capo Caco back, who's like good for us.
Yeah.
He's promising. So if you can get young guys who are disgruntled or lacking playing time in other places, or yeah, draft picks,
Okay.
like build up in draft picks. So it's like every other sport, right? Go get some draft capital.
Yep. Yep.
They need to do something. I don't want it to just be like, oh, cool, the trade deadline passed and we have the same team that's not going to make the playoffs again.
Yeah.
Like, that face? That was good. That was for the video, not for the audio. All right,
I
last
just
headline.
realized the video, everyone's gonna see me yawning while you're talking.
Yeah, you have to be
And
careful what you do on the video. I mean, we don't have to post it to video. We did talk about it, but for those on the video, Kevin yawns all the time while I talk. It goes a long way back. Real quick, fourth headline: Mariners spring training. Here are the two sub headlines that are literally Seattle Times headlines. So, second base battle. Where do you fall? Ryan Bliss or Dylan Moore? God, that's exciting.
I want Ryan Bliss, but
Yeah.
I don't want this to turn into a Dustin Ackley situation where we just start the dude and just suck away his confidence when he's not playing well right away. And who's the other second base prospect that flattened? God, I'm blanking. There's been so many.
I mean, Jose Lopez was a one-time All-Star, but he wasn't really like a top prospect.
Yeah. I think I'm getting mixed up with
You're thinking of like Nick Franklin, who was like a sandwich pick for us.
Forgot that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of what's his face? We traded him Kelnick. He was in second base, he
Yeah.
was left field. But
Right.
like, these phenom prospects that you kind of just start and then they play in the rain in Seattle or the marine layer and then they just things go bad.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping actually it's Bliss. And then I'm hoping we could use Dylan Moore. I say we as if I'm on the team, but Dylan Moore can be the utility guy, like he's always been his
Yeah.
time here. So
Dan Wilson was quoted as basically saying that's where they'd like Dylan Moore. That's his value.
yeah,
Um, I mean, Cole Young, I don't think will make the team out of spring training, but I certainly would love to see him be the starting second baseman. Big time prospect for us. Talk about Dustin Ackley. That's the fear with Cole Young. It's like, for whatever reason, his name sounds like Dustin Ackley to me. Cole Young, Dustin Ackley. Like, I don't know. I hope not. I hope he's awesome. So, yeah, it's not exciting. But this one is exciting. Second headline. Andres Munoz has a new pitch.
yeah. What is
First
it
of all,
called?
it's a changeup.
Yeah, but they gave it a name, didn't they? No.
I haven't seen a name for it yet, but I saw, and many who follow the Mariners have probably seen this. There's a video reaction that you can find of Brian Wu just like losing his mind watching the absolute vertical drop of this changeup from
Yeah.
Munoz. A 91-mile-per-hour changeup that drops off the table. Munoz has a ridiculous slider. Look, you're yawning again. A crazy fastball. He doesn't need this. The best part is he says, yeah, it's good some days, but I haven't really thrown it that much, so I don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow.
Yeah.
But he threw it to live BP against Cade Marlowe. Cade Marlowe had a hard time with it. I don't know if that's a big thing. He faced Julio, and Julio basically was like, Munoz is nasty. I've never faced him. I never want to do it again, but I wanted to do it in spring training. So those are the kind of cool spring training stories. You know, who knows if Munoz will even throw this changeup in a game, but the reaction, that's what I love about spring training, this stuff. And then,
By the way, when's the last time you were at spring training?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, really quickly. Like,
Yeah.
what was your favorite part of the 2 years ago? If you could just pull one moment out, and you went with Felix, right?
I took Felix. Yeah. He was very into baseball then. Like, he would not go with me now. He says he hates baseball. He's all into basketball. Baseball's dead to him. So it makes me sad. Honestly, Kev, like going to the Dodgers. So
You
like the
saw
Mariners
Ohtani?
is
Did you see
Mariners
Ot-
is
oh, no, wait,
cool.
Ohtani
No,
wasn't-
he
he
wasn't
was
there
there.
when we went.
Yeah.
We watched James Outman, who's like a fringe dude on the Dodgers, but he's
Yeah.
massive, just hit bombs on one of the backfields. But the Dodgers are so popular, and the crowd for the Dodgers was incredible.
Yeah.
There were so many people there, and they were like, this is one of the things I do love about spring training. So we go to the backfield. James Outman's hitting with a couple guys. They don't have names, so you don't know who it is, but there's a couple old guys there. And the old guys, you just ask them a question, they're going to tell you everything. They're like, that's James Outman. He hit this last year at AAA, blah, blah, blah. You know, there's always some old baseball dudes who can talk to you. So that was very cool. I'm going to give you two quick other ones because they just came to mind. Felix got Munoz's autograph. He got Cal Raleigh's autograph.
Yeah.
So seeing your kid get autographs, and Munoz was awesome. Every day he was signing for everybody and took pictures. It was unbelievably cool. And then the third one is random. The Mariners, and people who've been there will know this. So the Mariners and Padres share a spring training facility. You walk in a main drag, and there's these like, they look worse than high school fields where some of the guys are hitting, but they hit there in the cage, and these dudes can mash the ball.
Yeah.
It was probably Montez who hit an absolute bomb today when he was like 17, and they're hitting bombs over the fence into this walkway where all these little kids and people are. And so there's like three people trying to catch balls, like teenagers, and everybody else, like, there's just ladies walking and dads with little kids walking, like nothing's gonna happen. And then somebody will say heads up, but you have no idea where that ball's coming from.
Yeah.
These are absolute, as the kids say, piss missiles flying over the fence, and they could just kill you.
It sounds like a great lawsuit. God,
You're
I'm
right.
horrible for that.
And I just think it's sort of the crazy charm of spring training is like, what is happening? This is complete chaos. So that was fun.
That's great. I'm glad I asked you that question. Well,
all right, we hit our headlines.
Yeah, I love it. So, I'm not wearing the right. I'm wearing Huskies for our next segment, but it's not the right sport. Husky men's basketball draft.
Yeah, here's the reason I thought of this, Kev.
Yeah. Tell me.
They're not going to make the Big Ten tournament in 2025. And I thought I guess I knew it, but then when they lost both games this week and I went to the Rutgers game, and let me tell you, it was depressing.
Well, that was the double overtime one.
It was single overtime. They
Single
should have
overtime one.
won. I've never seen Danny Sprinkle more upset at a player than he was at Zoom Diallo. I thought he was going to lose his mind on him. He at one point, Danny Sprinkle pulled his shirt up over his face as if he wanted to scream. And you know how people like scream into their pillow or something? That was Danny Sprinkle.
Yeah.
I I've said this from the beginning. I don't think he likes his team. I don't think it's personal. I think as a basketball team, even though he put it together, he does not like it. So anyway, they lost the Rutgers game. Then they go on the road and they lost to Iowa, and they were winning both games at times. And I saw something that said, like, they're out, basically. They're done. They're not going to make they're in last place again.
Yeah.
So we don't need to talk about it. I just talked about it, but we don't need to talk about it. So instead, let's draft our best Husky basketball team of all time, men's basketball. We're going to do men here, not the women, because we already talked about the women. They're good. No 1950s. They went to the Final Four like 3 times in the 50s. They have like some famous names. We're keeping the 50s out of this. No one's watched that, right? That's boring for people. So more modern.
You offended everyone that's 90 years or older.
Oh yeah, they're all listening to the podcast, Kev. The 90 plus people. Never mind. I was going to really offend them. Okay, so we're gonna draft a team. You have to have it positionally. So you have to have 2 guards, 2 wings. That's pretty flexible. But you got to have a post. You got to have somebody who plays in the post. Okay.
Yeah.
You have 2 reserve players, and they got to be people who will not be pissed about coming off the bench.
Okay, I love these. Okay, this was this.
I mean, this is this is not like this is a classic Ringer episode. Bill Simmons NBA shows, like they do drafts like this. So I'm not like the originator of this kind of format. But then you got to have a coach as well, which there's not going to be a long list of coaches in the Husky history to choose from. And you can go in any order you want. So you can lead off with the coach. I'm going to give you the first pick. We're going to go back and forth till we fill our rosters.
Yeah.
Okay. The people on YouTube can decide in the comments who wins.
All right. Do I get first pick?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Amazing. Brandon Roy.
Yeah. He's got to be number 1, right?
Number 1 overall. I think he's the greatest Husky of all time.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah. So he's my shooting guard / point guard, depending on who I pick next.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. So I'll just put guard. Nice.
I think I only have one. Well, this is interesting. Okay. I'm going to pick Isaiah Thomas.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Now, here's the thing. I think it's the right choice. I think he's the second best or best scorer in Washington history.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great start for my defense. He was a pest on the ball in college, but rebounding and length in today's game, if we're playing this game, I'm at a deficit, but it's worth it. I mean, just the Gus Johnson moment. Cold-blooded.
I mean, he was there. We're going to name a lot of guys that you could give them the ball at the end of the game and they would score. But I think the most amazing thing to me about Isaiah Thomas is he was just so short and he was able to do it.
Dude,
he was able to do it against everybody.
And he could get to the rim.
Yeah, he did it in the NBA.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Amazing.
I don't know if that precludes me from having a backcourt of 2 of the shortest players in Washington history, so I might not be able to.
I might have to force you into that. So.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll see.
I'm actually going to go undersized, but I think he's one of the best forwards in Husky history, and it's John Brockman.
Oh, that's a great choice.
I mean, here's what I love about Brockman. He's undersized, but he played for my program all 4 years because of that.
Are you putting him at post?
I'm putting him at post, so he'd play the 4.
Yeah.
And
or 5, whatever.
I don't know who's boxing him out, and the rest of on your team who's going to box him out with success. Like, I think the dude's getting me at least 8 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
Probably 10. And he can score.
It's either him or Steve Hawes when you look at statistically the best rebounders in Husky history.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you go to the 50s, there's the Bob, I don't even know how to say his last name. Hubris.
Yeah.
But we're not doing him.
By the way, did you ever watch any of the three players in person while they were in high school? While you were on the coaching circuit? Brockman, Roy, or Thomas? Did you see them in high school at all?
I coached against Brockman in a jamboree.
Was he as good? Was he good?
Yeah, he was awesome. And so, yes, I watched him a few times, and we had a 10-minute quarter against him. It was like a very highly attended jamboree with Martell Webster, Spencer Haas, and John Brockman on the court. So that was fun. Yeah, he was awesome. He's one of my favorite players, high school, college to watch.
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas, I think I've told this story before. He was at Curtis, and I watched him the year Seattle Prep won state when I was on the staff, 2006. Franklin played Curtis in the state semifinals, and I want to say Isaiah Thomas and he had 50 plus.
Yeah.
So that's the first time I really saw him. I'd heard about him, and I'm like, dude, he's he's real. Roy, I think Garfield was 4A then, and they were playing in Kinko. So it wasn't, I knew who he was, but it wasn't until he got to UW that I really watched him.
Before Metro realignment.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. So it's my pick. This is tricky. This is actually where it gets hard. Those are my top three. So,
get it. I think we weren't that off then.
No. Jeez. That would be a crazy pick. I'm not going to do that. God, it's hard because there's like a mesh of I can't go Nate Robinson with Isaiah Thomas in my backcourt, so that's not going to work. I don't even think I can go Will Conroy, who was a great point guard in the history.
We should have done a snake. Should we have done a snake?
No, it's okay. I'm thinking it through. I'm talking it through out loud with you. You know, this is going to be a little wild, but I'm going to go Quincy Pondexter.
Ooh, that was a great pick.
And it's mostly because he was. You may not remember this, but he was pretty. This is probably unfair, but he was pretty disappointing he was a 5-star recruit.
Yeah.
Do you know he played high school with the Lopez brothers?
Did you know he went to high school with Christine, my wife?
Oh no! Wait, Christine went to high school with the Lopez brothers and Quincy Pondexter?
Yeah, she went to Samuel King Memorial.
That's amazing.
Also known as Memorial.
So he was, but then his senior year, he was so good, and they went to the tournament. And he was just a stud, and he could score mid-range, outside. He could drive to the hoop. He could rebound. He defended. I just think he's going to.
Do you know who he took off the dribble for the game winner in that NCAA tournament game to get to the Sweet 16?
Can you tell me who they played?
Marquette.
What year is this? It's not Dwayne Wade.
No, it's not Dwayne Wade.
No, I don't know who it was. Who was
Jimmy Butler.
Oh, that's awesome.
He took Jimmy Butler off the dribble.
That's
a little up and under.
That's great. And
for the video, it's an up and under.
Up and under. Where did he go? He's at USC.
Yeah.
So when Sprinkle came in, Conroy, right, and Pondexter are there. So when USC beat Washington, they had a little extra for that.
By the way, are they going to make the tournament? USC?
They're bubblicious, I think.
Okay,
but I could be wrong. It's funny. I know all the women Big Ten, the men just burned me because the Huskies blew it.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
Okay, that was a good pick. Can't argue with it. I'm just gonna go with Conroy.
Okay.
Because I want a pure point guard. I think a backcourt of Brandon Roy and Will Conroy is really solid.
Yeah.
What I really love about Will Conroy is he was just a great floor general.
He has the
selfless.
best single season. Sorry, Kev, I interrupted you.
No.
Best single season assists per game in Husky history.
Oh, do you know how much it was? How many?
It's like 6 point something. I mean, college, it's really hard to have. There's a couple guys this year in the 9, and that's pretty insane that they're that high. It's hard. It's hard to be up that high. I think he was 6.5, something like that. Maybe I have it on my phone. I have it somewhere, but yeah,
there are probably way more talented point guards that made the NBA, that played in the NBA. And Conroy, in his own right, did have some appearances in the NBA.
He did. Yep.
But I would feel better about Will Conroy in my backcourt.
Yeah, 6.4. Isaiah Thomas was 6.1. He's tied for second best. So, yeah, Will Conroy's a good one. We've talked about Jamal Crawford's kid before, but Will Conroy's kid, he's young and he's really good.
Yeah.
Like he's like a fifth grader or something, and he's like insane. Um, yeah, every time my kid talks about being good, I'm like, get at it. Go watch Will Conroy's kid. Okay. So you have Conroy, Roy, Garfield backcourt with Brockman. You're very local.
Yeah.
I've got Isaiah Thomas, Quincy Pondexter. And I'm going to add. So Thomas scores a lot. So I kind of need a guy who will do some dirty work, who will do some other stuff for us. You know what? No, I'm going to the post. I'm going to Big Todd McCulloch.
Oh, New Jersey Nets.
Heck yes. I went off script there. He's my post.
Oh, man.
So part of this is my formative time of like being in high school, the Huskies with Bob Bender first. I think it was Bob Bender, right? Who took him to the tournament?
Yeah.
Am I crazy? Or is that Bob Bender before that?
No, I think
No, it's Bender. Yeah. With Donald Watts and Todd McCulloch. And I mean, that dude was a problem. He was awesome. Let me give you some numbers here. Oh God, these basketball reference, it's real hard to find. He's okay, Kev. How about this? Offensive win shares, Husky history. Todd McCulloch has 3 of the top 8 all time in Husky history.
Yeah.
That's wild. He's 3rd, 4th, and 8th. Pondexter has the best one all time. I won't tell you who number 2 is. Roy is 5. Isaiah Thomas 6. I won't tell you 7 because I don't want to ruin your drafting. But yeah, Todd McCulloch, he was awesome.
I can't believe he was only in the NBA for 4 years.
Yeah, that seems crazy. Don't you have a memory of like 10 years?
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure I played with him in NBA Live 2004 with Vince Carter on the cover on my PS2. But
he was good for like that 1 year with that Nets team, right?
Probably had an injury. Yeah.
I think he did. I think he might have had like I don't want to make something up. His career in college, 15-8. His senior year, he averaged 18.7 points, 11.9 boards, 1.6 blocks, shot 66% from the field. Come on.
Yeah. That's pretty
Big
good.
Todd in the post. All right, Todd and Brockman are just banging in the post. This is great.
Okay. God. Now you have to make a decision between like, do you go with like 2 posts or do you go kind of more modern?
Curious who you're thinking about.
God. I'm gonna go with Matisse Thybulle.
He was close. I was like, I can't go
Yeah.
Thibault and Pondexter. I felt like,
Yeah, I think I could put Thybulle at the wing.
yeah, for sure you can.
Yeah, and I think he'd be my lockdown defender. So I would just use him on whoever the other team's best player is, notwithstanding them being a post, and just stick Thybulle on him. Which, by the way, I think you have a lot of options if you want a defensive stopper, but I'll see if you pick one of these guys. Are probably
You have a good defensive team.
yeah.
Like,
Well, I don't know. Brockman's undersized though. That if you get him in
yeah, he's
foul
gonna have a
trouble,
hard time guarding
then
Big
I'm-
Todd.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a hard time guarding Big Todd. Okay. Okay, I gotta. So I have Isaiah Thomas, I have Big Todd, and I have Pondexter. So I can go. I kind of need a 2 or a 1, depending on how I want to play Isaiah Thomas. I need another wing. This is tough. Yeah. Man, it's hard. I am not going Nate Robinson. I'm staying away from him for sure. God, there's some recent names that scored a lot of points that I just don't think they're that good at basketball players. Maybe we're not on the same page with that. How about okay, I don't yeah, wait, I gotta look something up. This is terrible. This is terrible. Okay, here's the name I'm thinking of. Do you know Bryant Boston?
No.
Okay. Bryant Boston played in the early God, you can't even find stats for him online. This is terrible. Here we go. 91 to 96. God, he did not average that many points, but he was a great defender, lots of steals. He's not a great shooter. I can't put him on my team, Kev. Brian Boston, sorry, you're out. All right.
Damn.
This is
Damn.
tough. Did you want me to take Brian Boston?
No, I don't know. It's kind of sad.
Yeah,
You
Kev.
went through this whole research and then
I know. I
dropping
know. I know. This is really hard. I know this isn't great for
No. You need a point. I think you need a point guard, man, or a shooting guard.
I do. I need a guard. All right. Should I just do it? No. I'm gonna go Eldridge McCasner.
Nice.
One of the original OGs.
I love how you're going old school.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's like I watched him. He was my favorite player growing up. You know, he clapped back at someone on Twitter recently.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he's like, "Young people don't know how good I was," which I kind of
He
love.
was just playing like in an open gym or something.
That's right. Yes, and people are like, "Who are you, old man?" Basically.
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking. I'm getting his stats here because we got to give the people what they want. Oh God, I can only find his NBA stats. Where's the college stats? How do I get to his college stats? He was good. He was a good shooter. He's probably what I thought Brian Boston was going to be when I brought his name up. Oh God, he's earlier than I thought. He's before the 90s. Dear
But he's
Lord.
not in the 50s. You're showing your age.
No, he's not in the 50s. He's not in the 50s. He's got to be on the 88, 89 team.
So is he
Here
a
we go.
guard?
He's a guard. Okay, 88, 89, he averaged 18 points per game.
That's pretty
And
good.
he shot 44% from three.
Yeah.
That's awesome. He's a little undersized to go with Isaiah Thomas, so I'm a little worried about that. He also played on a team with Dion Brown, one of my favorite Huskies ever, who jumped out of the gym. But I think Eldridge McCasner is solid. So
Yeah.
82% from the free throw line that year. We're gonna roll with it. Okay, you're up. Sorry that I took so long. And
No. I'm gonna go with this is kind of out there. I don't know if I'm gonna regret this though. Just making sure I'm not crazy. Okay. I think I'm gonna go with Marquise Chris.
Okay, you're crazy.
Okay.
Tell me your reasoning.
6'9". Okay, so I think he's tall enough with enough skill. He can score. I don't need him to rebound if I have Brockman. And I just think if we're playing the modern game, like, okay, how are you just, it's Marquise Chris. He's huge. Like, I love it. I mean, there's taller dudes that for
You have
sure
Chris
play.
and Brockman down low. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, I guess I could have gone with Hawes. That was my other option.
Which
Spencer.
Hawes? No, you'd have to go with his uncle, Steve.
His uncle Steve.
Steve was awesome.
Yeah.
Spencer only played 1 year.
So did Marquise Chris.
That's
So
true.
maybe
Well,
that was my
yeah,
maybe this
you're-
was my bad pick, but I've committed.
You have
May-
committed.
I
That's
could
true.
shift him to my bench. There's no rules against that.
Yep. Okay. So I need a forward, basically, right? Like a
Yeah.
wing / forward. And I think I know where I'm going. And in some ways it won't surprise you. In some ways it might surprise you a little bit, but I'm just double checking some stats here. Oh yeah, I'm doing it. I'm going with the OG Christian Velp.
Bup.
The all-time leading scorer in Husky history, by the way. 1983 to 1987. The original stretch four. How about this for averages his junior and senior year? 19.4 points per game, 20.8 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks both years. 75%, 73% from the free throw line. Like, didn't shoot threes, so I guess he wasn't a stretch four. Sorry, he's got to be down in the post. Here's the problem between Welp and Todd McCulloch, neither one of them shooting a three, and then we're playing in 2025. You might beat me by 100. So, all right. So we need two bench players and a coach.
Okay. Here's who I'm going off of the bench, and maybe, maybe I'll move it around, move him around. Detlef Schrempf.
Mm. Detlef off the bench. I mean, I think you need Marquise Chris off the bench.
Yeah, maybe I switch him.
I don't think Marquise Chris's NBA career has shown that he should be starting on your all-time five.
Here it goes.
Detlef Schrempf might be. Goodness gracious, Kev.
All right, I got my Detlef Schrempf. So he's my
Detlef Schrempf. I'm making you insert him in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
And Marquise Chris.
That was a bad pick. I admit it. All right,
what are Detlef's averages?
He was all Pac-10 2 years in a row, or 2 years. I don't know what his averages are.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to find. Here, I got it. So he's around the same time as well. He's 15.8 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists his senior year.
Imagine if he didn't have to play with Welp. He could probably average more.
Yeah, actually, it was before Welp. He didn't even have 3-pointers.
Yeah,
while he was there. Good free throw shooter. I mean, it's just like he was in the NBA. He was never like a 25 points per game, but he would get you 7 rebounds, 6 assists, whatever. I mean, he's a great glue guy for you. Much more than Marquise Chris. Okay. You know exactly where I'm going with my bench. I'm going with my man CJ Wilcox coming off the bench, shooting threes. Second best
zone buster. Your zone
second
buster.
Best single season for points per game in Husky history, I think, is what I have.
Yeah.
For CJ Wilcox. That's another terrible choice that people are going to absolutely roast for all the peoples in Husky history. But you got to remember, we're talking about bench guys, and Wilcox played a bench role until he became the guy. He knows how to come off the bench. He's zone busting. He's hitting threes. He's grabbing a couple rebounds. He's going back to the bench. Quincy's back in there. It's perfect. Plus, I can move Quincy to the 4 if I want to go small, and I take Welp or McCulloch out. McCulloch's got to come out of the game. He's huge. So,
I really regret drafting Marquise Chris. I feel like I should have drafted Haas, but here's who's going to be my second dude off the bench. Vinoy Overton.
Wow.
And here's why. He was the ultimate pest.
Yep.
Like, he was so annoying. He was like the most annoying on-ball defender. He'd be perfect coming off the bench. And he'd be perfect to piss off Will Conroy and Brandon Roy in practice. I would love that. I'd love him pissing them off.
It's Franklin and Garfield, so yes, he would.
It'd be great. So Vinoy Overton, he's my dude coming off the bench. And he was part of, I think he made the tournament all 4 years of his career.
You might be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a special shout out to Michael Johnson, who I'm not going to draft. Do you remember Michael Johnson?
No.
So he graduated the same year I did from high school. He went to Ballard. When he graduated high school, he was the all-time leading scorer in Washington State high school basketball history. And then he ended up starting at UW on some pretty bad teams. I think Michael Johnson, no offense if you're listening, Michael, which you're probably not, he probably would have a hard time guarding some of these guys. It was a little different era of Husky basketball. But I used to guard Mike Johnson at UW basketball camp when we were in 4th grade.
Yeah.
And I strapped him up, let's be honest.
There we go. Dude, I can't believe you just said that.
He was really, really good in high school. I mean, he all-time leading scorer in Washington State history when he graduated. Yeah. That's insane. He's a heck of a basketball player.
Can we go back to Overton real quick? I pulled up his bio.
Yeah.
He ranks 3rd all-time in UW history with 177 steals and 5th all-time with 390 assists. So he could dish it. Yeah. He's really fast. He could steal. So imagine having him and Thibault on the court at the same time. Lockdown, man.
Yep.
It'd be fun. We'd create some turnovers.
I have the last player, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you the players I'm considering. Okay, this is what I have written down. I had Michael Johnson actually written down. So shout out Michael Johnson. I had Donald Watts written down. He's a heck of a player in college. I have Markel Fultz, Matthew Bryan and Manning.
Oh, NBA.
Noah Dickerson,
Yeah.
Terrell Brown, who had an incredible senior year
Yeah.
as a guard, Mark Sanford, who you have no idea who he is. Again, early era, 17 points per game. One of my favorite early players ever.
Yeah.
But he's too redundant with Wilcox and Pondexter, so he's out. And I think I've settled on, Bobby Jones. You know I love Bobby Jones. But again,
Yeah.
I don't need another kind of wing
Can I
guy.
can I
you know
name
what
the
I
other
need?
NBA guys that you've
No.
not?
Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you who I'm going to draft. Then you
Yeah.
can tell me.
Yeah.
I'm bringing Nate Robb off the bench.
There you go.
I have Isaiah Thomas, and can you imagine subbing Nate Robb for Isaiah Thomas on this squad? Like, the crowd is never sitting down on my team.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Other than the fact that every time they drive, Todd McCulloch is in the way. And Christian Welp, because they're running an old school 1950s double low post offense.
I mean, honestly, you just have Todd McCulloch hold up the ball, and Nate Robinson could grab it from him in midair and dunk it.
Ooh, I like it.
That's
yeah,
what
we're
I
gonna have
think.
to teach some modern pick and roll stuff with those guys to get some space in the lane for the drivers.
Yeah,
But
you also have to give McCulloch a 3-point. Like, give
I probably honestly should have.
3-point shot.
Yeah, with those guys, I probably should have gone like Noah Dickerson. Oh, Dickerson used to just sit on the block. He's like Osabor. Like, those guys just sit on the. Osabor sets
Oh,
ball screens, but
Remember Jamal Williams?
oh yeah, he was fun. Yeah,
6'6" post.
yeah. There's not as many good. I guess the posts are all older, right? Like the Hawses and
Yeah.
Who
So
who else did you have?
So DeJounte Murray was really high
Yeah.
up on my board, but he plays the same position as Brandon Roy and the other guards.
He wasn't that good in college.
Yeah.
That's what's swaying me with DeJounte Murray. Like
Well,
I
Terrence
did
Ross
coach
was
against him.
probably the same. Not as good as.
I
yeah.
love Terrence Ross.
Um,
I should have picked Terrence
Here's
Ross.
another guy that I liked. That's kind of Bobby Jones light,
Yeah.
or like the same thing, Justin Holiday.
Yeah.
Just a
a
solid
good one.
wing, could lock up people. We didn't talk
Yeah.
about Tony Roden.
Yeah, I'm not drafting Tony Roden. I want to go back into DeJounte Murray. That probably should. He averaged 16, 6, and 4.
That's pretty good.
He shot 28% from 3 and 45% from 2. And so that's the thing I remember is that he just wasn't an efficient scorer, and he only played 1 year. Like, I'd rather take Fultz's 1 year, even though it was a weird year. We haven't talked about Isaiah Stewart or Jaden McDaniels.
Or Jalen Noel. Like,
Jalen Noel, yep.
Yeah.
Noel was good. He was good. The McDaniel Stewart year was so weird. I had tickets that year. I've talked about this before. That team was so bad. And those
was
two
it kind of
guys
like
were
Rutgers?
lottery picks.
They
Yeah.
had two- yeah.
Although,
same thing.
can I just say really quick, Dylan Harper on Rutgers, who's projected to be a top 5 along with Ace Bailey. Dylan Harper is a dude, man. He was a man among boys in that game. He was awesome.
So,
I'm in on Dylan Harper.
do you think it's more when you have talent like that, it's more
Yeah.
the coaching or just a lack of role players? Or maybe that's a result of the coaching because you can't get people to play in their roles.
Yeah, it's always a combo, right? But coaches will always get blamed when you have that kind of talent and you don't do something with it that they expect. But I've been on a staff where that's happened.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to the story usually, right? And with
Yeah.
UW, they weren't a good fit. It wasn't a good fit for the zone that Hopkins was trying to run and all that kind of stuff. And then he had, it's just hard. I mean, think about how many, we've talked about this before in this podcast, how many 5 stars the Huskies have had who haven't turned out, right? We didn't talk about Abdul Gaddy, who I loved.
Yep.
And Abdul Gaddy was a decent college point guard, but he was never the 5-star they thought he was going to be. And there's just so many guys like that.
Yeah, Nigel Williams-Goss.
Yeah, he was really good at Gonzaga.
Great career at Gonzaga.
Yeah. So
That was fun.
yeah, that was fun. We haven't done our coach, Kev. You get first
Yeah.
pick.
God. I mean, is there anybody that I can choose that's not Romar?
You
Gotta
got to choose
choose
Romer.
Romer.
He's the best coach in Husky history. Well, Marv Harshman, you could say.
Who's now coaching for LMU?
Marv Harshman, I think he's
No,
dead.
Romar.
Oh,
Romar.
I know. I saw him on the broadcast. Yeah. I'll take Marv Harshman then.
Okay. Yeah.
He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
That's a
so.
legend.
Yeah. He was conference coach of the year 3 times, 76, 82, and 84. He's in a lot of my players. Oh, I guess just one. No, two of them would like know him,
Yeah.
be aligned with him. So that'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good. All right.
Cool.
Should we go to top five? Wrap it up at top five?
Yeah.
Okay. Kev, what's your top five topic today?
Okay, my top 5 topic is top 5 athletes at the age of 25 or under in Seattle.
Okay, before you go. Mine was going to be over 35 top 5 athletes in Seattle. I picked it kind of randomly just to be like, this will be fun.
You have to choose 30, huh?
Kev, oh, excuse me. They like really ruined me there. Kev, there's nobody. Like, it is pathetic.
Yeah.
Here are the names. This is it. Over 35. Jess Fishhawk and Lou Barnes for the Reign. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Donovan Solano, new Mariner, and Stephen Fry. That's the list.
Yep.
Of just people who are eligible for this. I can't even get to 5. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna join in with you on my top 5 under 25.
Under 25.
So you give your list, then I'll give mine. We'll see.
Damn,
how
good thing I
similar
put like a list together. All right.
Are you gonna go in order 5 to 1, or are you just gonna go just 5?
Just 5. Should I give mine and then you give yours, or should we alternate?
Yeah. No, you go first, and then I'll see if I have the same.
All right. Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Mm-hmm.
Reek Wallen. Julio Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Smith and Jigba is 23. Reek Wallen is 25. Julio is 24. And so that gives me, what am I at, 3?
Yep.
I'm gonna go. Ooh. I'm gonna go Brian Wu.
Does he fit?
Brian Wu?
Are you sure he's under 25? I think he might have just turned 25. I think he shares my birthday.
January 30th, 2000.
January 30th, baby.
So he's 25.
So he just turned 25.
So he's
you can't
over
do Brian
the
Wu.
age
Sorry.
of 25. Oh.
Did I say 25 and under, or did I say under 25?
No,
I think I said
you're
under
right.
25.
You're right. So,
Well, you got to 3, Kev. This is some good research you did.
I'll do Damon Williams.
Oh, I like it. Husky
Yeah.
angle. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll do that. And shoot.
It was so easy that 2 years ago with the Huskies, you could have had Odunze and Penix,
Oh.
right? Like,
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Shane Wright.
Yep. Okay. All right. So I have some similar. Shane Wright's on my list. I think he's just hot right now, and I'm excited about him, but he's so young. How old did you find out? Is he like 22, 21?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shane Wright would be my 5th. You missed this one. Obed Vargas for the Seattle Sounders is 19 years old, and he's getting like multi-million-dollar transfer offers. So I'm hoping he stays. I got JSN, number 3. Number 2, instead of Reek Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, baby.
Oh.
He's better than Reek Woolen.
Yep.
You got to go Witherspoon. That guy's
Yep.
the man.
Yep.
Other options, Charles Cross is actually under 25, which shocked me. I feel like he's been in the NFL for like 8 years. He's 24 years old. That's so weird to me.
Well, that's how I felt about Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah.
They're both only 24.
See, they felt younger to me. Cross, I feel like, has been our starting left tackle for like 5 years.
Yeah.
But being 24, that makes me feel better about him. Like, I mean, he's still 24. Like, anyway. Byron Murphy I considered, but no. I mean, Julio's number 1. So,
Yep.
I mean, there's Julio's. It's no contest.
Yeah.
I thought about throwing El Ladine in the mix,
She's
for how
on my
much
list.
She's been balling out.
She's on my list.
I did not think about putting Great Osibor in the mix. No offense to any of the Husky men, but nah. So there you go. I was gonna cheat with my over 35 and like throw Gino in, who's 34. Haniger's 34. But then I was like, this list is depressing.
Yeah, don't do that.
So maybe 30 and over is a good one for another time. But
What's I want to introduce a new wrap up segment.
okay,
Like
great.
instead of talking about what we're gonna write, we can also talk about like what are you gonna go to a sporting event this week? Are you gonna check out some high school basketball action?
Oh yeah.
What's on your plate?
Do you ask me because every time we come on, I'm like, I went to 3 sporting events this week.
Absolutely.
uh, Saturday will be a solid doubleheader of youth soccer and youth lacrosse. So I don't think that's what you're looking for.
No. Tell me. Where are you?
No,
Where?
my kids are playing.
Yeah.
I think I am gonna on Saturday go to state regional basketball.
Yeah.
I'm
And are
not gonna.
these at neutral sites?
They are.
Okay.
Both Seattle Prep teams are in it, but I'm not going to either of their games. They're way too far away. I'm gonna go see Edmonds, Woodway, and Bellevue. I think play in boys basketball on Saturday.
Okay.
If I can pull it off. I don't know that I can. We might have something I forgot about, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's some high school action. I don't think I have tickets to anything this week, so it's pretty tame. Are you going to something?
Am I going to something?
Yeah, you asked me the question, then I asked
No.
it back to you, and you thought it was like a mystery question.
No, so I went to a workout class last Saturday, and the guy was like, it was a nice day in San Jose, and he's like, "Oh, is anybody gonna go do anything?" And then people were like, "Yeah, go for a walk with my dog." Boring stuff, right? And then at the end, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the San Jose Earthquakes game. It's the
Oh,
opening game." And then in my head, I was like, "The MLS is starting." Like
that's how you found out.
that's how I found out that I looked at the Sounders schedule and I was like, oh, they have these games. Oh my God, this season's starting. Anyway.
Hilarious. Well, you're a Santa Clara Broncos season ticket holder.
Oh,
You don't
I'm
have a
going
game this week?
tomorrow. I'm going tomorrow
Okay,
for my
Kev.
birthday.
Jeez.
Yeah,
And
so
aren't they playing Gonzaga?
yes, it's senior night. We're gonna go to I found this out, so I went on the last game I went on
Kev,
Thursday.
how do you not remember that
I
of all
just
the games? Like of
totally
all we're
forgot.
listing, you're like forgot
Yeah.
that Santa Clara's playing Gonzaga. Santa Clara beat Gonzaga
Yeah.
in Gonzaga this year.
Yeah.
They are one game apart in the standings.
Yeah. So this
Gonzaga's legitimately on the bubble
it's
for the
great.
NCAA tournament.
I got to tell you this. So
Okay.
the game I
got
went
excited.
to, it was Santa Clara versus who did they just play? I just went to the game.
LMU.
LMU, yeah.
Your alma mater.
So this is what
My
happens when you have
sister
a baby.
texted me, by the way, and she said, "Are you watching the Seatown Sports Bowl?" And I was like, "What?" She's like, "The Seatown Sports Bowl, like LMU Santa Clara basketball." It's awesome.
Before the game, they have this thing for season ticket holders, like pregame hospitality. So I go to this, and it's the first time I finally got the chance to go to this. And I show up, and with my friend Danny, and they have like people sitting in like an audience in a presentation, and it's just a dude. And I'm walking in there, got my food, got my free drink, and then I'm like, oh my God, it's like the assistant coach is like telling these season ticket holders like their game plan for the game.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I thought it would be pretty cool. Like I think that would be I'm gonna try to get there early enough for the Gonzaga game plan. But yeah, Levy Centers is gonna be rocking.
It will be rocking. It's on
Yeah.
CBS Sports.
Yeah.
Everybody can watch. I'm sure we have a lot of Zags fans.
Yeah.
A little local angle. It's not quite Seattle, but it's pretty close. I will let everyone know that Santa Clara beat the Cougs last game, and Santa Clara hit 23 threes.
They
in
won
the
by
game.
like 40 points, didn't
They
they?
scored over 100. They were 23 of 38 from three.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious how they win games. I think they just
They're
need to
also
shoot the
missing
ball.
their best player who's out,
Yeah.
which is a bummer. But it's a great game. And the
Yeah.
WCC tournament, next week when we talk, we'll be able to talk WCC tournament. We'll be able to
Yeah.
preview the women's Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
Like we got some real stuff to preview. And we could preview, if you'd like, the state of Washington high school basketball tournament.
Oh, I love that. I love
We
that.
got a lot of basketball to talk about next week.
Well, I think our first debut on video was okay.
Yeah, you yawned 4 times. I almost coughed up a lung, and I represented Sue Bird. So let's go.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
See you
All
next week.